let's go around and.
Met this morning with David Ellard and, well, since we met this morning, I'll leave it at that.
I'm Steve Roundtree, brand new to the class.
First time here?
First time.
Tom Lane, and I'm a recruit in here also. This is my first day here, and I'm a combat disabled Vietnam vet, and I think I'm going to write in here about coming home, which is an interesting story.
Not like the movie Coming Home.
Not that one, sir. No, sir.
My name is Nancy Whitworth, and I'm from your neck of the woods, from Maine and New Hampshire. And this is my third class with Sally. So.
Bernard Higginson. I go by my nickname. It's not a nickname. My middle name is Maurice, and my first name was Mo as I grew up. So I write underneath that pseudonym or whatever it is. Very nice to meet you, Jay.
I'm Patty Tomlinson. This is my first time in class also. I'm a Marine's mother.
I see.
So I'm Jared Fitzgerald. I'm active duty. It's my first workshop.
Are you here at the air station or over?
Yeah, I'm stationed here.
Are you? In the back?
Carolyn?
I'm Caroline Brown. This is my dad, and I was here last time. Yeah, this is my second time.
I'm Rich Brown. I'm an active duty Marine over at the Parris Island. My second workshop.
Where are you? Where?
6th District.
Okay, well that's great. I assumed that rather than the formalities of some kind of a lecture or a presentation, we're just going to have an interchange here. At least I can give it what we can. Look, I want to give you this. By the way, I brought this on. This is what we talked about with my DI. You might be interested.
Oh my gosh, am I going to get to put this on memo?
You can do what you want with it.
Oh wow, thank you. Oh, I can't wait to read it. Ooh.
I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. 30 seconds will drive you to the ultimate state of ennui, probably. But I went through Parris Island in 1957 as a recruit, 17 years old, right out of high school.
And from where, sir?
I grew up in a little town called Lunenburg, Massachusetts, which is in central Massachusetts. My father worked for a paper company there, and my mother was a typical 40s, 50s stay-home mom. I had gone to a prep school in Connecticut for 4 years and was on a college track, but I knew at 17 I wasn't ready for college, so I decided I'd join the Marines. Of course, Parris Island was quite an experience, one that is with you forever, for better or for worse. Generally for better, I think, but it's a great experience. And at that time they were offering a 2-year active duty hitch, which I took because I had been accepted at college and I had intended to go, which I did later on when I got out. So I was only in for a couple of years. And I was down here at Parris Island in '57, and this was a year after this Ribbon Creek incident occurred. In a nutshell, what had happened was a drill instructor named Matthew McEwen had taken his recruits out from the rifle range on a disciplinary march down behind the butts on the range and taken them into Ribbon Creek, which is, I don't know if any of you are familiar with Ribbon Creek, but it's a tidal creek. It runs down right behind the rifle range. He had never reconnoitered the area. He knew nothing about Ribbon Creek except that there was water and marsh there. And 6 of them ultimately drowned as the tide was going out, and the bottom of the creek kind of dropped off. So this was an incident of great notoriety at the time, in 1956. Marine Corps there was even some talk about folding it into the Army at that point in time, and we were between wars. So the Korean War had been over for 3 years. Vietnam hadn't started to warm up at all, and so there was a real threat threat to the existence of the Marine Corps. I didn't know much of anything about this. I knew that this had happened because I'd read in the newspaper as a high school kid. But when I got down here, the DIs were very defensive, and they talked about, if I call you a maggot, are you going to report that to your congressman, or are you going to tell your congressman about this, that, or the other thing? And they were very supportive of the drill instructor, and I thought he had gotten a raw deal out of it. He had been court-martialed, and I go into that in some length in the book. How I came to write the story was this whole thing sort of faded from my consciousness for many, many years. I had a family, and I went on to college, I went on to law school, had a career, and so forth. But after 20 years of practice, I was primarily a divorce lawyer, and I needed a break. So my wife and I and our 15-year-old, our youngest kid, drove out to Washington State, and I enrolled as a grad student at Washington State University in an American Studies program, just for the hell of it. That was a wonderful experience. It was a wonderful experience, so much so that I thought that I would switch careers. I was 49 at the time, and become an academic, get my doctorate. I had a bachelor's degree, and I had a JD, a doctor, lawyer's doctorate, but that had no carryover in a liberal arts context. So I was thinking, I want to pursue this academic field. I have to write a thesis on something. What the heck can I write a thesis on that I know anything about? And then it came to me. There was actually an article in the Boston Globe about Matt McEwen. And I thought, that would be a wonderful story. Nobody that I knew of had written anything about it. It was front page New York Times for weeks when it occurred. It was a Life magazine article. It's something that I had some peripheral experience with. I knew a little bit about the Marine Corps from experience. I'd been through Parris Island. I had legal training. And at that time, I had not been appointed as a judge, but I had 20 some odd years of legal training. So that was how it all got started in my mind. As time went on, I got back to work. I got overwhelmed by work again, and gradually this notion of becoming an academic faded. I had a family, and it wasn't realistic to begin with, actually. Getting a job is difficult, and you can imagine a 52 or 53-year-old trying to land a position maybe as an adjunct professor somewhere. And maybe,
I know that drill.
You know the story, okay. All right. So it wasn't realistic, but the idea stayed. And finally, after a few more years, I said to myself, you're either going to do this or you're not. And if you're going to do it, do it.
And the Marine came out.
The Marine came out. The Marine was buried very deeply in me, actually, at that time. I just didn't think much about the Marine Corps.